Hey, good morning again, folks. We're just coming in here to the lab. Um, what Carlton is going to show us is this freeze dryer here. Oh, Barb and I have a brand new one at home. I spent $5,100 for money I didn't have, but I know the need for this machine. So, Carlton, we have one of these sitting at home, unused. We just unwrapped it. How do we use this thing?
Very good question, Peter. Thank you for asking. I have been running a freeze dryer for over 8 years now. I have utilized this for 8 years. I have seen every possible thing fail on them. I have been repairing them myself. This requires several maintenance procedures to continue the operation long term. So when it first gets unboxed, what you're going to start with is two major pieces. One is the unit here, and the second one is down here. That is the vacuum pump. The vacuum pump does the other half of the work in a freeze dryer. This thing sucks the air out of the chamber up top. So this needs to be piped in on this side right here. That needs to be very tightly screwed together. Both of them have their own power sources, so they need to be plugged in properly. And then you turn it on from the backside. There's a switch, and this little touch screen is where the rest of the controls operate from. This is a semi-automated process, so it has small sensors to measure moisture and temperature. That's all it really needs to know. And when it starts, you want to load pre-frozen foods in the trays that come with into these slots. That's the stage that it is at right now. So we loaded these in this morning when it was dry inside. Make sure that the chamber is always dry before starting. And then the next piece is right here. There's a small valve. This is your drain line. This needs to be closed. When that is closed, the vacuum can turn on and do the work that it needs to. If this is open, it can lead to problems. So you always need to check that this is a closed valve. And that's why I say it's semi-automated. There's still certain properties to this that are manual. Once the food is in and it starts freezing, it is going to drop down to minus 38 degrees Fahrenheit. When it reaches that temperature, it will turn on the vacuum pump and it will suck out the air from the chamber. It has to suck the air out when all the moisture is frozen. So it has a very low humidity in the air in the chamber. If it is not fully frozen, it will let you know, and it will keep freezing till it reaches those temperatures. That's been the most important part, and we actually had to make sure that this room has no other appliances running because of the temperature in the space.
So
The condenser cannot run properly down below, and that's the humming in the background is the fan running, because it's just like a big old deep freeze. Really, this is a big deep freeze. Without the properties of size, it concentrates the cooling around this chamber right here.
So basically, when you're saying that you start these trays off already frozen, that's just giving you a jump start to save you
It
time,
does.
eh?
So if you put food in there that is not frozen, say at room temperature, it is going to take another 24 hours to bring it to that temperature of a deep freeze. So having a small secondary deep freeze just for the freezing side of this allows you to cut down your work a third.
Right on.
And so this goes from a 3 to 4 day process down to a 2 day process. And that's what we're looking to do is be very efficient about this because this piece of equipment is more valuable doing the drying than the freezing.
Right.
So go get a cheap deep freeze, let it do the deep freeze work of bringing things from room temperature down to -5, and then let this do the -5 to -38 degrees. It's much faster in that capacity than it is going from 22 to -5.
Oh,
And once it's there at temperature, cold, it's going to suck out all the air from this chamber. It's going to change from freezing to vacuum freezing. And from there, it's going to change from vacuum freezing on this screen to drying. The drying stage is a 2-day process. And what happens is each of these trays has a heating mat in there. So when it's at minus 38 and all the air is sucked out of here, it is going to start warming up this frozen food. And it's going to transition from a frozen solid with water in it to evaporating directly. So you're going from a solid to a gas and you're skipping the liquid stage. That is what makes it so valuable. That is what makes the nutrition 98 to 100% viable versus the dehydration processes most people are used to. That's where you destroy half of the nutrition in the process. Here we are actually preserving it for 25 years.
Okay, now when these are done, does this machine automatically shut off?
It does not.
No?
It will actually go into an overtime mode where it will keep running for another 8 hours. And you can set it more because based on the observation, that's why there's a window here, you can tell if something is fully freeze-dried or not when you have a trained eye. If you do not have a trained eye, you will have to pull things out and try them. Actually taste test to see if there's no more moisture in the center of the foods. That's how it works. It starts by pulling the moisture out from the outsides and works its way in. So when you are fully freeze-dried, this thing will continue running and it gives you a buffer time. So if you're not ready in the moment, you have about 3 to 8 hours to work with before you need to start pulling things out. When you pull them out, that procedure has its own series of effort. Right here, those are 2 from our prior batch. This is raspberries from my own garden, and mangoes hand cut and placed on the trays. Each of these gets pulled from the tray when it's dry, and with a putty knife, we scrape them off real fast, put them into bags with an oxygen absorber, and then they get sealed with this heat sealer manually.
Yep, it came with that too, yeah.
Yes, this one came with. You can get them aftermarket, and some people like to do a vacuum with this. We do the vacuuming by hand because it is faster and works way better to do this and then seal it by hand. And that's why these have a very reliable shelf life. On this shelf here, you'll see several different varieties of things. We have lemon, we have lots of mango, we have our own guacamole. Yes, there's lots of food types that you can do. You can do cut fruits, you can do cut meats,
Yep.
you can even do different smoothies of fruit blends.
Yep.
You can do whole soups.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yes.
were here this morning when Rachel and them were
Mhm.
taking them out, and I was watching them pack. It's on the other video,
Mhm.
but there's soup there, freeze-dried soup, and all you got to do is you can either rehydrate it or just eat it like that.
That's a ginger bar made with pure ginger pureed into a sauce. This is peanut butter bananas. Very tasty.
Right on. Okay, so
Yes.
now once this is done, the machine shut off. You have to go let it thaw out or something and drain it.
That's right. So once all the food is removed and all the trays are out of here, there's going to be an option to hit defrost. You want to turn that on for 2 to 3 hours.
You have to close the door.
You have to close the door and open the valve over here.
Okay.
That valve now needs to be opened, so as it thaws, the moisture and the water drains off from the chamber outside. You can also shortcut this to a small degree where you only do a partial defrost and you pull the ice chunks out, you dry off the chamber, and you start it up, saving yourself an hour and a half of thaw time so you can actually restart the system in another 2 hours of savings.
Right. Because efficiency is important.
Yes, efficiency, especially when you have a long night ahead of you and you want to shortcut this.
Yes.
So you can start it before the next day.
Okay, so now that we've defrosted it, dried it, and everything else, We have pre-frozen trays. Is it ready to go back in? You have to open that, close that valve again.
That one that was open for the draining of
Draining.
water now gets closed, and you turn it back on so it starts the freezing cycle over again.
Awesome.
Now, depending on the type of pump you have, which pump did you get? Did you get
Same
a
as-
oilless or
No.
did you get with oil?
With oil.
With oil means every 3 to 6 months, depending on how much you're running it, you need to empty the oil out, filter it, and replace it.
Where do you do that? Or
Right down here, this right here is a valve. So when you turn it, the oil drains out. This is the refill. So literally it twists right off.
Yep.
And you fill the oil from the top to exactly the point that says max on the sight glass.
okay.
The sight glass plays a big role, so you can actually fill it to the right amount. Make sure this is perfectly level. Ideally, you have sound deadening around it and a piece of rubber below it, because it can be very loud if it's vibrating as it's running. That's why this whole thing is on a sound isolated cart with sound deadening material around it.
Okay, yeah. Not gonna heat up or nothing.
No, it runs perfectly fine like this as long as there's a little bit of ventilation.
Yeah.
And it keeps it bearable, because that thing, when without the sound deadening, can be very loud.
Okay. All right. So that's.
You want to show them the oil filter?
Oh, the oil filter is a carbon filter. This also comes through Harvest Right. And so the used oil, you run it through a carbon filter and you can continue cycling it over and over. That way you only have, say, 2 batches of oil, one in use, one being filtered.
Okay. And that's reusable, what, half a dozen times or something?
I'm going on 3 years.
Oh,
So
half a dozen years then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
better.
A good carbon filter, if it gets too dirty and it stops flowing, swap out the Brita carbon filter and you're ready to keep going.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Have a great day, Peter.
Thank you.